Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and as I said in the beginning, that tonight I'm honored to be having with me over the program engineer Hassan Shaaban. Thank you very much once again for being with us tonight. We were speaking through the report or during the report about the challenges that we have had, the economic challenges and the challenges facing the investment opportunities for Egypt as well over the past 10 years during the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and of course looking forward to the future as well, to the next presidential term. How would you assess the achievements that we have had in this time frame for the past decade, and what to be expecting in this field for the future?
I actually would consider what happened in the last few years is a leap toward the future in regard of the infrastructure that we really required in Egypt.
Yes.
We were lagging the development of all these highways and bridges and so forth to ease transportation and traffic all over Egypt, from the north to the south, from the west to the east. Now Egypt is ready for phase 2, how to put spirit and life to all this infrastructure. The industrial development and the agricultural development that we are witnessing right now is the beginning of a new era. We need to put life to all of this infrastructure that we actually invested in. I think there is a lot of projects, prospective projects,
yes,
that could be handled or adopted in the near future in different fields actually, because I think it's now the policy is to encourage the private sector to go in aggressively into investment, and I think we need to deal with the problems that we have, as with putting the slogan that says a policy that doesn't have an economical positive return is no good policy.
Yes.
We need a positive economical return on every step we take actually in the field of politics. So I think there is a major role for the private sector in the coming few years, starting immediately to improve our economical conditions. I think the field of industry is wide open.
Yes.
We need to actually have a good program, examine all the items that actually cost us a lot of money to import it, and try to localize these industries and these technologies in Egypt.
Yes.
We have a good base. We have a number of military industries or factories that could be utilized to host these new industries, as well as investors, Egyptian investors, private sector, and foreign investors. I think we have a very good chance, and we just need a good program in both the agricultural and the industrial field. We need to have ideas outside the box.
Yes.
Meaning, we've experienced the benefit of the Suez Canal since it was actually dredged.
Yes.
But it is now, the phase to reconsider. We need to, what is a major project that could actually act and give the same results of the Suez Canal in Egypt. I think everybody is encouraging the idea of having a highway from Alexandria to Cape Town.
Yes.
I think having a highway in addition to a railway from any port north that is located on the Red Sea north to, or on the same line of Aswan, to avoid the high dam lake. A highway could actually be paved all the way parallel to the equator, from the Red Sea all the way to the Atlantic Ocean in Ghana or Senegal. This highway will actually serve about 8 or 9 countries, African countries, that do not have ports, neither on the Mediterranean nor on the Red Sea. So the coast of the Red Sea will turn to a logistic hub, actually. Something, I don't want to say something similar to Jabal Ali, but very much similar to Jabal Ali. We could have warehouses and refrigeration areas and so forth, and even industrial areas in this particular location. And I think we ought to cooperate with our colleagues in the BRICS. Countries like China and Russia, who have a big number in the trade field with these countries, will be happy to cooperate with us to ship their goods all the way from the Gulf of Aden to the Red Sea, all the way to our new logistic location on the Red Sea, going into these closed African countries. I think we need to consider cooperation between Egypt and Libya in the future, in Wainat area. A lot of people do not realize that Libya also have a Libyan Wainat. The plateau of Wainat is divided between Egypt and Libya. And this is a very promising area. Our project in Wainat is very successful. The great river in Libya is also a success. I think in the future, both Wainats, the Egyptian and the Libyans, could actually become an industrial and agricultural area to actually supply Africa with a lot of goods. Because our neighbors in Africa have a little problem. They do not have the refrigeration facilities in their countries due to lack of electricity and so forth. So I think the canned food industry that could be established in Wainat, growing vegetable and raw material that could be canned and exported to these countries in Africa, because there is a good market for the canned food in Africa. A lot of ideas are there. I would love to see mega private companies formed, or even a cooperation between the military and the private to form companies like fishing in the Indian Ocean, for instance. The Indian Ocean is actually symbolizes a very great importance for us, because this is the gateway to the Suez Canal. So I think there was an idea at one time to establish a mega company that turns an oil tanker, a used oil tanker, to a refrigeration unit, and just anchor it in the Gulf of Aden, and have our fishing ships from Suez and Damietta and so forth fishing around this oil tanker, and get their fish after they actually fish for a number of days into this tanker to be prepared and refrigerated. And this tanker is like a huge refrigeration and preparation and packing unit. I think this is a chance for the private sector to cooperate with the military and the Egyptian Navy. I mean, you can have this marriage between the private sector and the army, utilizing the experience of the army in the Navy and so forth. Especially we have a lot of friends in the area, Somalia and Djibouti, and you know, we have a lot of friends in this area.
Yes.
And we could actually benefit from the strategic point of view and from the economical point of view as well. A lot of ideas are there, you know, and that serves a number of interests actually.
Yes, Engineer Hassan Shaaban, you mentioned a number of ideas that most of them, they need cooperation from Egypt with different entities and different countries at some stances, like for example Libya, Djibouti, Somalia, all those countries. How do you see the importance of having good political bilateral relations between Egypt and the African countries, and good bilateral economic relations between Egypt and those countries to be paving the way for more cooperation in the field of economy and investment?
You see, in spite of the fact that Africa was occupied for so long, but Africa is still a virgin country, continent. And there is a lot of chances to invest in Africa. I would love to see cooperation between, say, countries like Somalia and Egypt. Somalia is very famous with, you know, for the banana, you know, as a major crop over there. They have even a jetty called the banana jetty in Somalia.
Yes.
And but this is not only to import bananas from Somalia. Bananas actually, when you grow bananas in Egypt, they consume a lot of water. So I'd rather really cooperate with a country like Somalia to grow our share of bananas over there and utilize our land to grow strategic crops that we really require. So we just need some management, what to do, what to ask from our neighbors, and for their benefit and our benefit, and utilize our resources to the extreme actually. We need a lot of management to run the coming era in industry and in agriculture. Let me put it this way.
Yes.
We import a huge amount of sugar. We should actually try to reduce this amount of sugar that we import by growing a substitute for this imported sugar, which is made out of sugar cane, of course.
Yes.
I really like to see a plant called stevia. Stevia is a plant similar to the sugar, but even sweeter than sugar. It doesn't consume the same amount of water that sugar cane consumes actually.
Yes.
And we could establish industries to produce sugar from stevia. It is a type of sugar that a lot of diabetes people actually use, as well as in industry, soda pop and so forth. This will reduce the amount of sugar that actually we import. We need to improve the conditions of a lot of the material that actually consume a lot of our hard currency and just localize it, you know, in Egypt. These industries localize it in Egypt. There is a lot of ideas, but we're going to have to tie things together. Agriculture with industry, and politics with fishing in the Indian Ocean and so forth. You see, we need to, our presence in Africa should increase more. I would love to see a private sector company to invest in production of gold in Africa. African countries are very rich in gold, and you can have a gold mine in Africa in a very simple way, but you know, I would love to see the private sector in Egypt form a mega company and invest in Egypt, good management, maybe have a joint venture with some foreign expertise like Canadians or Australians, because they're very good in, say, gold production. And we need just to have new ideas or new methods of development instead of our traditional way of development.
You have mentioned a number of new ideas for the past 10 minutes, to say the least, but for the real life, on the ground, speaking more of Africa, the cooperation between Egypt and African states, do you think that there is the willingness to be, I wouldn't say achieving independence from the other countries or the other continents economically and politically, but at least to be increasing the political and the economic cooperation between Africa in general and of course between Egypt and the African states? Do you think that the willingness is there? Because we see Egyptian investors going to Africa and investing in Africa. We see Egyptian companies going to Africa and building dams in the field of infrastructure, to say the least. Do you think that, on the other hand, and vice versa, could be applicable? African investors could be having the ideas of going to Egypt and coming into Egypt and pumping more investments for their, of course, the benefits of both sides.
Hopefully. I think Africa still requires a lot of, cash. Let me put it this way. I mean, yes. We need to cooperate with our brothers in Africa first, and maybe later on, as another stage, the African countries could actually come and invest in Egypt in a lot of ways. But I think at this stage, if we could cooperate with some African countries to actually have investments in Africa itself, yes. Using local labor over there, maybe also form agricultural settlements and train our young people while they're in the army serving the flag, actually, yes. To accept the idea that we could actually have agreements with some of the African countries to have massive areas and grow strategic crops over there with their cooperation. They could take a percentage of our production and so forth. I would like also, if yes. we took locally, I think any company that wants to have a project to produce, dairy or dairy products, or whatever, I think the government should change the politics. The policy should be, if I give you the license to grow chicken or grow cattle or whatever, I will give you, say, 10,000 faddans to grow the crops that you will feed your chicken or cattle on it. So
an incentive.
Right. This will relieve us from importing corn, for instance. Yes. And they will help the government reduce the load on the government. They actually will cultivate large areas in the desert.
Will decrease the prices as well for
exactly.
the citizens.
Okay, so we're going to have to connect things together, not only to give license to have an industry to grow things, because this will increase the burden of exporting food for the. But I give you license, you grow your own food next to your farm. A lot of ideas there are there, and we need actually just to see what is beneficial to us and what will improve our economy, because we've invested a huge amount of money in the infrastructure, and we need to have a return for all this infrastructure. And what I'm saying is to utilize this infrastructure to serve these projects actually.
You've mentioned several times that we need economic results. We need to be seeing the results on the ground, and more importantly for the citizens to be feeling higher standards of living, decreased prices, for example, for the future. When do you think we could be reaching this phase, and how?
You see, I don't think that this phase could take a long time, because, you know, agriculture is not really a long-term investment, because within a few years' time, within a couple of years actually, 2-3 years, you're going to have agricultural results actually. Establishing factories to produce, you know, cattle food or whatever doesn't really take long. All of these ideas, it just requires a good feasibility study and a will to actually, you know, have it on the ground. I think also this will open the door for a lot of small investors to get to buy shares in these mega shareholding companies, the fishing company, gold investment in Africa, whatever. I think this is a new era that we ought really to consider.
And speaking of the new republic and the new era that we are living here in Egypt through it, you've mentioned that we need to be having more willingness by the private sector to be going into the market, to be pumping more investments, to be taking the risk. Do you think that the incentives that the government has provided over the past decade will be giving more opportunities and to be encouraging more and more investors and the private sector representatives to be going into the market in Egypt?
Today we have a situation where the government is trying to improve our economical situation, and the private sector as well is trying to find a means to invest.
Yes.
I think both sides doesn't really have any choice but to cooperate to improve our economy, and it will be a win-win situation if we manage to find a formula to for this successful marriage.
Do you think we need more investments in the field of food projects here in the country, to be more specific, to be having more job opportunities and saving hard currency?
Yes, I think still the market's still open for this. We need just to have a different philosophy, like we need to have agreements with our neighbors,
yes,
to exempt some of our goods that we export to them from duties. For instance,
yes,
Libya, for instance, they actually import a huge amount of tomato sauce
from Egypt,
from
generally
from Europe,
yes,
from Italy, and the Italian industry is enjoying this privilege. I think we could enjoy the same privilege if we have an agreement and know what is the requirement of the Libyan market and the facilities that the Libyan government could give us to encourage cooperation between both sides.
How about the facilities that we have had here in the country over the past decade under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, more specifically in the field of infrastructure, to be having thousands of kilometers of roads, bridges, new cities all over the country, a new capital that is going on nowadays? How do you see the importance of the infrastructure that we had or we have had over the past 10 years to be building for the future economic cooperation between Egypt and at least the neighboring countries like Libya, for example?
You see, one could see all these communities, the huge amount of houses and apartments all over Egypt right now.
Yes.
We just need a new plan to put spirit and localize the people who will live in these apartments and these houses all over Egypt.
Yes.
We like to serve the redistribution of the population in Egypt. I mean, we don't want people to live in a place and they actually travel from that place to their work every day. We did not really solve the problem. We need to localize the jobs next to these communities. Actually, we need to have an industrial zone, we need to have an agricultural zone to serve the needs of this community. And if there is anything surplus out of this production, it could be actually used in the industry. Onion, garlic, drying onion, drying garlic,
yes.
Potato powder, whatever. I mean, we need to have some imagination and form these communities. I mean, we will not haphazardly just form communities. We need communities that will serve our industry and agriculture. We will not really be doing good if we just haphazardly allow people to live in these houses without really having a program or a target for that.
We have spoken about the importance of cooperation between Egypt and the Arab world, between Egypt and Africa, and of course you mentioned as well the importance of having Egypt as part of the BRICS, comprising countries like Brazil, Russia, China, India. How do you see the future of the economy and trade with Egypt being a part of the BRICS?
This actually will put Egypt in a completely different rank, actually. Once we have this logistic hub on the Red Sea to receive all the trade coming from Japan, China, the Far East, Russia, India, and so forth, going to this hub, and from this hub all the way to Chad, Mali, Benin, Burkina Faso, all of these countries do not have ports. You will be the port of all these countries, you see, and these countries are on the verge of, becoming a successful countries, because, as I said, they have all the resources that could make these countries very rich countries and very developed in the near future.
Speaking about the economy of Egypt, and of course we had a number of reform programs being implemented here in the country with the blessings of the World Bank, major financial institutions like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. What does this say about the strength of the Egyptian economy, especially for the future?
Well, once we put a program, a solid program, an ambitious program, and manage to utilize our resources to have positive results, definitely this will make us look good in front of the international bank. But again, we cooperate with the African Development Bank.
Yes.
And this is, we need to strengthen our relation with this bank, because actually it actually works along the side with the international banks.
Yes.
Anyway, but we need new resources and new ideas, new income to improve our economy. And as I said, this highway that goes from the Red Sea all the way to the Atlantic Ocean across the continent might be the new Suez Canal. This could yield even more than what the Suez Canal actually yields per year. And I think our partners, as I said, in the BRICS,
yes,
will be very much interested in financing and cooperating with us in paving this highway, because it is not only for our benefit, it actually will serve the BRICS countries.
Yes, on the other hand, we had also reforms in the field of education and vocational training for the Egyptians, which would be giving us the opportunity to be having more job opportunities for the future, for example, and less unemployment. How do you see the importance of the skilled labor that we have here in Egypt, not to be exporting to other countries, but to also to be getting the best out of them here in the country, building major projects like the one that you just mentioned?
Well, this is definitely, if we can actually have an ambitious program,
yes,
to train our young people, our youth, while they're in the army, part of them, a percentage of these young people, will be trained in you know, for industrial purpose and agricultural. I think this will be a good start for us, because we really need to train our young people on new technologies, and you know, not the conventional and traditional ways of agriculture is no longer applicable. So actually we have a lot of new technologies in both industry and in agriculture. So I think we're going to have to reconsider a lot of our you know, old policies to see the new republic becomes reality.
Yes, to keep up with the world, at least. Engineer Hassan Shaaban, the former vice chairman of the Egyptian Farmers Syndicate, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of the daily debate for tonight. I will be leaving you, however, with a report about the sustainable economic growth and the inclusive sustainable economic growth here in the country, and the new projects that would be driving this growth for the future. We'll be having all those details in the upcoming report, but I will be wrapping up the episode for now. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.